Hey everyone, this is Scott Chanel, and this is my market analysis summary for AVIA360. In this presentation, I'm going to go over the advantages and disadvantages of the Pilatus PC12, the TBM 930, the Citation CJ3, and the Pilatus PC24. So what I've done here is I've selected two comparable turboprops and two comparable small business jets. So in our file, we were able to compare these aircraft and utilize a comparison of a few different similar factors. And what we can see here is that there's several up here at the top. And then what I really found beneficial was the trip time for a 300 nautical mile trip, 600 nautical, and 1,000 nautical mile trip. Those are very beneficial as far as comparing aircraft based on a very similar comparison. So a quick look at the PC12. Single engine turboprop, the value score was a little over 18,000. The cost is a little under 5 million. And it has a seating capacity of 7 plus a pilot. The cabin volume was 405 cubic feet, was pretty big. Now really what I like, let's see if I can move my video over. What I like is comparing the 300 nautical mile trip. Especially if you're not in aviation, having something to compare these aircraft to is very beneficial to see what it is you're paying for. So for a 300 nautical mile trip, it's going to be a trip time of 1 hour 10 minutes with a block speed of 257 knots and a direct cost of $797 for the trip. The TBM 930 very similar, has a single engine turboprop. The value score is 12,000. Cost is just over 4 million, so it's a little bit cheaper new, considerably cheaper new, but it's not as many seats inside. Now, another option, another thing to look at is it is 10 minutes faster in the 300 nautical mile trip time. It's also got a cheaper direct cost than the PC12. So we can go back and look. It's a little bit higher. The payload with max fuel is 1,009 pounds, and with max fuel, the payload for the TBM 930 max fuel is 584 pounds. So payload's there's some trade-offs here, and that's something to consider. Now, looking at the CJ3 Citation turbine aircraft, has a value score of 28,000, so it jumps up pretty significantly in the value score. It also jumps up pretty considerably in the aircraft cost. 8.3 million is not a small amount. Now you have more capacity, and you also, what you're really paying for is the time. So time is money, and truthfully, if you want short time, you're going to have to spend big bucks. So the 300 nautical mile trip time of 49 minutes is going to give you a direct cost of almost $1,200. And the CJ3. Now we can go over to the PC12 from Pilatus. Is a multi-engine turbine aircraft, has a value score of 44,000, which is excellent, great, very high, but we also would expect a high value score with $8.9 million aircraft. Has a seating capacity of 8. Here's where there's a lot of difference, and it's the cabin volume. So cabin volume on the CJ3 is 361. Cabin volume on the PC12 is 456. So it feels a lot roomier inside. It also has a higher payload with max fuel. And then over here, the trip time is not considerably different, about the same, literally the same. Now the trip cost is different. It goes up by about, what is that, $60. So something to consider, taking all these into account. Now, since we're talking about time with the expansion, this is the annual time that will be saved with and without the expansion. So the darker blue is with the expansion. So obviously we're going to increase as we fly more miles and go to an additional location. But this is the total hours saved, and we can see that it's quite a significant drop off from the PC-12 down to the CJ3 over time, utilizing it annually. So thanks guys for sticking with me towards the end. Looking forward to seeing the future projects that you guys have. See ya.